Hello everyone, this is In-Game Arts with another unboxing and the offline product game review. This is Resident Evil 5 for the PlayStation 4, but being played and tested on my PlayStation 5. To jump right into it, this physical copy here just says it's just the base vanilla version of the game, so the on-disc version is 1.0. Now at the time of making this video, there were no updates available, and as well, I was still unlocking trophies with my unregistered account. Now, this is Resident Evil 5, and it's been multiple releases, and this is the PS4 release. There has been, of course, the first release on PlayStation 3, and then there was the Gold Edition that got released on PlayStation 3 that came with a bunch of the updates and content on disc, and they include like a PlayStation Move function and everything. While this PS4 version includes all the DLC and updates on disc as well, but it does not support the PlayStation Move controller anymore. I believe that is the only thing that is missing within this PS4 version. For some, that's probably not going to be a big of a deal, but regardless, that is missing content from the original first release, or not the original release didn't have it, but the Gold Edition had it. So that is a little disappointing that you lose that functionality. But again, this is Resident Evil 5. It comes with all the extra content, it comes with all the bonus expansions and stuff like that, as well as Mercenaries mode, as well as all the other extra features and content that the game has included. Now, the only thing you can't really do is, of course, play Versus mode. That is an online, like, PvP mode, but you can play like Mercenaries, the campaign, and some of the expansion story moments all completely offline with an unregistered account, which again, I tested all of it, and I didn't experience any massive game breaking bugs or issues. The game ran great from beginning to end, which was extremely nice to see. Now, again, there was no real issues. I played the single player, and then I played all the single player expansions. Then I messed around with a little bit of Mercenaries mode, and then I played a little bit of split screen with my brother on Mercenaries mode, just to try out the split screen and everything, and then just the overall get the experience of the game. In the end, I did have enjoyment of Resident Evil 5. Now, Resident Evil 5 is, I won't call it like the worst in the series. Resident Evil 6 or Resident Evil 8 really takes that title. But Resident Evil 5, I know a lot of people really dislike Resident Evil 5 because this is where the game was really departed from the survival horror. To the point where even Resident Evil 5 doesn't even try to pretend to be survival horror. It kind of includes some minor like spooky moments, but they're very minor, and if you're not even paying attention, you probably wouldn't even really notice it. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that because the game is trying to do its own identity and do its own style. And for the most part, it does deliver what it's trying to be. It is a multiplayer focused Resident Evil game with split screen function, which that's a rare calamity nowadays, and I highly praise it for that. But the biggest problems about Resident Evil 5, of course, is its overabundance of action, as well as that the AI partner that you have to play with. The AI partner is probably one of the worst in the series. She's not the most intelligent, she's just frustrating, she wastes ammo, and just overall is a hindrance. Not the worst AI I have ever seen in gaming, but is definitely up there that will drive you nuts. Oftenly, I take her guns away and get rid of all of her equipment and just give her a stun rod, and mostly use her as like an inventory management system where she just carries more inventory for me. And that's about it, but still, you shouldn't be required to do that. But as again, the game was designed and mostly focuses on to be a split-screen multiplayer experience, and which, for the most part, it does deliver that extremely well. If you can get someone to play whether online or offline in split-screen mode, there are many people say it's one of the best multiplayer experiences you can have, with all the same functionalities with your split screen, your interaction. Each character can have their own branching path that they kind of explore with each character, as well as you can do your weapon upgrading, as well as inventory management, as well as cooperate and work together and plan. So again, it is a great split screen multiplayer game. But for the most people, when they play Resident Evil, they're wanting survival horror, and well, Resident Evil 5 is nowhere near that. And again, the heavily focus on action. And as well as, of course, the limited inventory space can be a little bit of annoying. As well as, like I talk about, Shiva's AI is, well, just frustrating to say the least. But in the end, I still had fun, and I still appreciate Resident Evil 5 for what it was trying to be. Sure, yes, maybe I was harsh on the game when it first came out, because, again, it wasn't what I wanted out of Resident Evil. But coming back to it, it does have its own charms and uniqueness that really helps it stand out compared to what is available nowadays. Hell, even most games nowadays don't even support split screen or even a campaign mode, and this game fully is there. And you can not even just that, you can play the expansions, you can play Mercenaries mode. I don't know, I don't want to drive in about the split screen, but that's really, really cool, and I'm always happy and ready to praise any game with split screen mode. Now, there's no real issues. The only bug and hiccup I only came across in the game was that there was a twice that happened where I killed an enemy and items dropped on a slope, and I could not pick up those items on that slope. It only happened twice, and even my AI partner couldn't even pick it up or even recognize that I'm trying to tell her to pick it up. She just would not pick it up. So again, there's that one little tiny thing that happened throughout the experience. Other than that, story-wise, the game follows around Chris and Shiva, and it's okay. Now, Chris is oftenly joked about because, Chris is some jacked-up, steroid-looking guy, and it is very awkward at moments. But, and then, I try to look at it the fact from, Code Veronica, where Chris realized that he was greatly overpowered by Wesker, so he probably, worked out a bunch. I'm slightly believe he is on steroids at some point, maybe because of more of a obsession to try to not be defeated by Wesker again. Regardless, especially if you think about Resident Evil 6 and how he gets very emotional and aggressive, it kind of leans into that steroid, and I would actually kind of think it'd be kind of neat if they acknowledged that he fell in some depression where he started using that stuff. There's no proof for any of this, or that this is my speculation and my view of looking at Chris as a human being and who has some problems. He's not some perfect super action hero. But Ian, the game is still fun. It's still good. It's a good third-person shooting style game. The biggest things you're going to have, of course, the game still follows somewhat with the tank controls idea. You can't move and shoot. And the only one I think is the biggest issue, you can't drop items for your partner to pick up. The only way you can give items is you have to stand right by your partner and hand them that item. That's the only one that's a little cumbersome because sometimes you might be at a distance and you pick up shotgun rounds and you don't have the shotgun. You just want to lay the shotgun rounds back down on the ground. You can't do that. But again, it is well worth the pickup to have on your shelf for just the amount of content you get, the amount of playthroughs you can do, as well as the extra multiplayer aspect of it. Now, again, I know a lot of people want to joke about the fact that Chris Redfield punching a boulder. I agree, it's ridiculous, and somewhat, that's kind of what Resident Evil always been, this really over-top ridiculousness in certain moments. But I understand that for a lot of people like Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3, and some with 4, it had this grounded feeling, it felt like it could actually happen in real life. But then you get to Resident Evil 5, Resident Evil 6, Resident Evil 7 maybe a little bit, then Resident Evil 8, it just seems completely ridiculous, and just over the top. But in the end, I know a lot of people think this is one of the weakest in the franchise, but I appreciate it to having its own identity, unlike Resident Evil 8 that just straight up copied and pasted Resident Evil 4's complete design aspects and just made it first person. I don't praise games that copy other homework, even from its own franchise, but Resident Evil 5 at least was its own unique experience, and I highly praise it for this. And again, I had fun, and that's the important part. Did you have fun? Yes. Then the game delivered what it was supposed to deliver. Sure, yes, it's not survival horror to what I would like, and I still love weapon upgrading, I still love resource management, I still love the gameplay and combat in the game. So it's still a good game and still well worth the look into having it on your shelf. So like always, I will try to leave links down in the description if you're instant copy. In my personal opinion, it may not be the best, but it's still a fun and enjoyable experience, more so if you can get split screen mode going, because if you can get that going, play the campaign with a girlfriend or boyfriend, family or brother or sister, I think you would have a very fun and enjoyable experience out of it. Even if you're not playing the campaign, you can play Mercenaries mode and stuff like that. So like always, thank you all so much for watching. I hope this video was informative and interesting, and it's great that we have pretty much the entire Resident Evil collection on PlayStation 4 that can be played on PlayStation 5. That's amazing. I really hope that we can eventually maybe see the original games get ported and have its own physical copy, and that we can have all the Resident Evil games on one platform. That would be amazing, and have a physical copy of it. So like always, thank you all so much for watching. I think it's worth the pickup. I know some people like to brag on about its issues, but to me, What matters is it works, it functions, it's playable, and it's fun, and it can be played completely offline with an unregistered account. And it delivers all of this. So, to me, it's a good product, and it's well worth to have in your collection. So, like always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on my next unboxing video. Bye-bye!